I'm Susan. Welcome to Tea and Games. The tea this afternoon is very hot. It is also Yorkshire Gold, an old favorite of mine. Just barely to drinkable temperature. I'm doing something a little bit different here. I'm going to be spotlighting not games, but I guess you might say game components. I got the idea for doing this video from Chaz Marler over at Game Night Picks. Hey Chaz! Who said that if I ever did a video of my playing card collection that he would like to see it, because I was sort of delighted to find out I was not the only one who just bought decks of playing cards sometimes. I was always that kid when I was growing up that had the deck of cards in my purse. You know, there's always one in every group that just has cards. Or I suppose there's enough micro games now that there's going to be always a kid that has a micro game in their pocket. But yeah, micro games weren't really a thing when I was growing up, but playing cards were still around. They were still being used. I know a lot of people don't play playing card games these days, but I kind of have a soft spot for them. I feel like decks of cards are probably the most versatile thing that you can have within the gaming community, because you can play literally hundreds of different games with one or two decks of cards. You can go anywhere in the world and you will find people that know how to play something with playing cards. Playing cards are just super familiar to most people. And if you don't know the same games as the person that you've run into, then they can teach you their games and you can teach them your games, and all you need is a deck of cards. And I don't really think of myself as a playing card collector, because if I was, I feel like I would have a lot more than my very modest stack here. And also people who collect unique, collectible, and indeed some of these may be collectible for all I know, decks of playing cards, they like to keep them in pristine shape. My boxes look a little worn. The flaps, because I take them out, and eventually, if I can find somebody that will actually play playing cards games with me anymore, they may get worn enough to be retired. But sometimes I just see a deck and there's something about the deck, and I mean the artwork here, that really catches my imagination. And I think, ooh. So anyhow, I'm going to do this more or less in the order that I got them, starting with this deck. This pack of playing cards is called Creature Comforts Fully Infested Playing Card Deck. This is from Calamityaware. They make fine china with monsters on them, or at the very least calamities on them. And I'm going to put some pictures up here so that you can see the cards. The artwork is done by Don Moyer, who designs the Calamityaware stuff. The cards are very nice linen finished cards. But yeah, I'm going to put some pictures up here so that you can see what I am seeing. They've got monsters, like more discernible monsters on the face deck, and little outlines of monsters on some of the numerical cards. And if you're familiar with Moyer's work in designing the Calamityaware china and bowls and plates and stuff, and you will be familiar with a lot of these things, the cat and the bats and the creatures. This is just nifty. I really like his artwork, and I felt like that if I was going to get something, something to start off like with, just to have a deck of playing cards around, because I realized at the time I got this deck, I did not actually have just a deck of cards. So I got this with its Creature Comforts. And then I was looking for something else, and I don't even remember now what else I was looking for, but I stumbled onto this on Amazon, actually. It the company does a lot of novelty playing cards in which they basically use public domain artwork to make playing cards. I believe this is the company. I could be wrong, but the one that I got is specifically Japanese artwork. And I'll show you some of the cards here on the screen. It's mostly landscapes, but they vary from winter to summer to spring. We have some rainy landscapes, daylight landscapes, nightscapes. And the artwork is just so very, very lovely. And I mean, the compelling artwork is going to be a theme that you're going to see running through the cards that the decks of cards I have picked up. The Calamity Ware deck I got because I felt like, I just realized I don't have a deck of playing cards and these look very kicky. So yeah, I got that. But these, the novelty Japanese artwork playing cards, these I got because they're just so beautiful. I wasn't really thinking about using the deck as a playing card deck. I was just thinking, I want to have this deck so that I can just take it out and look at the pictures. And there's another deck that I got. The next deck that I got is also a similar thing. I just wanted to, you know, take it out and look at the pictures. And I do that sometimes. This is just, it's a very nice deck. In some ways, it is not linen finished. It has, I don't know if you can tell, a shiny finish. This is what the back of the cards look like. The deck is not like the greatest made deck because, as I said, the cards are not the super high quality cards that you might get from a company like Bicycle, but they do have unique novelty artwork, and my eye was particularly drawn to the Japanese landscape. I got Robert a deck of these cards that had sci-fi movie posters or spaceships or something on it around the same time. The other deck that I got not too long after that, and this is again, I think, another case of I was searching for something else and this popped up. I got this from The Art of Play, and the deck is called Eastern Forest. The cards are very unique. This is another one that I got because I just wanted to look at the cards. The artwork on the cards, it's beautiful nature artwork, but also it has text. It has text, it has nature text as well. And you can see some examples of that I've got up on the screen right now. The artwork is just so pretty, and I do like nature a lot. And it's got everything from trees and bugs and birds and butterflies and salamanders and snakes and berries. It's got ferns, it's got turtles. It's just got things you might find in the wild. Even tree stumps, I think, are on one of the cards. The things that it says on the cards, where it just says, it will either give you a fact about one of the plants, or it will just have, I don't know, an almost Zen type meditation on some particular aspect of nature. Like the one with the bear footprint says, hold your paw against the bear's footprint. Can you feel where the bear is headed next? I mean, it's just, the text is kind of poetic. It's also like, it's also very natural in terms of like giving you things about nature, but it's also just beautiful and kind of poetic. And this is one of those decks that I got. Eastern Forest Playing Cards, text by David G. Haskell, illustrations by Ellen Litwiller. And this is just one of those that I got because I just want to be able to take it out and handle the cards and read them. Sort of like the Japanese art cards. And the next deck that I got is kind of a very kicky kind of thing. I saw this and I just couldn't resist. And ever since then, I've been trying to figure out what game to play with this. Because this is actually a set of 2 decks of cards. And this is why, even though I said this was 10 playing card decks, technically this set makes it 11, except that these two decks are very similar, so I kind of counted them as one. You can buy the decks separately or together. I bought them together. See? It is the Royal Pizza Palace. And they come, if you get the set, it comes in a box like this. And you open it up. And you have 2 decks of pizza place themed cards. One veggie, one cheese. And another reason why I didn't count this as the 11th deck is in my 10 decks is because the decks are pretty much similar. The only difference that you're going to see between the cards in the 2 decks is that the yellow has a yellow border and the green has a green border. So if you're playing a playing card game that needs 2 decks of cards, you could use something like this, and the only difference in the backs of the cards would be the border. And here's some examples of the front of the deck of cards, the face cards, and just like a random selection of numerical cards. This is, I think, from the green deck, but the artwork for the yellow deck is exactly the same. Like I said, the only difference that I can see between the decks is that on the back, they have different borders. And here's a close-up of the face cards and the aces for the 2 decks. As I said, artwork is the same for both veggie and cheese. So pick whatever pizza you like. And the jokers are like the outside of the box of the 2 decks, which is like airmailed classified Mrs. Joker and Mr. Joker's secret recipe to be opened by Master Chef only. And here you can see the 2 boxes with the 2 decks, the green deck and the yellow deck. And you can see what I mean about the 2 decks being very, very similar. Besides the border being different, it looks like the veggie one has a tomato at the top and the bottom, and the cheese one has a piece of cheese at the top and the bottom. Let me look at this here. Yeah, veggie and cheese. But they are otherwise very, very similar. And you might also notice in that pic that the boxes are decorated like pizza inside with like cheese and toppings and things. No actual cheese in the box. But yeah, I got this because I love pizza and it just seemed like fun. And it was a set, and I thought that was nifty. You can purchase them separately, but that would mean I would have to decide which one I wanted. And instead of deciding, I just got the set. The Royal Pizza Palace, which is, I believe, what the deck is called. I also did a purchase from Bicycle, or a purchase of some Bicycle playing cards at a certain point in time. I got the Bicycle Gypsy Witch fortune telling cards. You could, I suppose, play a regular playing card with these, but this is a vintage, not vintage as in these are not old cards, but it is a vintage design from back in 1903 was when they were first introduced for fortune telling purposes, not real fortune telling, just like for parties and festivals and things like that. The Joker cards are so very plain. And these are the backs of the cards here. They have a QR code you can scan, and I've got this up here. So that you can see, you might even be able to scan the QR code from that, which will give you more information on how to do a layout and use the playing card decks for like a fun Halloween party sort of fortune telling kind of thing. And of course, as luck would have it, the 2 Halloweens that have passed since I got this deck, I've both been just too ill around those time periods to throw a Halloween party, but I would like to throw a Halloween party and do some nonsense fortune telling with this sort of vintage deck. So yeah, I'm thinking about doing something like that on Halloween one of these years. And now, the next thing I wanted to show you is my Hippy Dippy deck. Actually, it is called the Peace and Love deck. It is a bicycle playing card deck. I got it from collectibleplayingcards.com, so yeah. And it's got a very peace and love, hippy dippy kind of vibe to it. Some of y'all may recognize this or the back of it because recently I did a video where I showed a card case I had and the cards that I took with me in that case. And this was the deck that was lying on top. I could totally see this being my just kind of average, everyday kind of deck of cards because it is just so beautiful and colorful and cheery and like super deeply retro at this point in time. I mean, I'm thinking about, I don't ever remember seeing cards like this at any point in time before this, but it's like so very, very deeply retro now that we are in the 21st century. But I can't ever actually remember seeing cards like this in the 20th century either. But it's very much channeling the 1960s, maybe into early 70s. But yeah, they're so fun and they're so colorful and flashy and cheerful. I mean, with all of those flowers and everything, it definitely has a very laid-back, happy vibe, being called the Peace and Love deck. So, yeah, that was a deck that I got, I believe, from Collectible Playing Cards. And another one here. This one, the next one, these I'm not sure of the order in which I got them. I just kind of bought playing cards at a particular period of time. The next deck I wanted to show you, this takes the cake for just adorable. There may be more adorable decks of playing cards out there, but this is definitely the most adorable deck I have. The Bicycle Rabbit playing cards. And this is what the back of the cards look like. And do I have the two jokers on top? And indeed I do. I have the two jokers on top. These are the jokers are the only ones with people in them, male and female. The rest of the rabbit playing cards have, not surprisingly, rabbits. All different types of rabbits. And I saw this, and I mean, that whole super cute, adorable thing is not necessarily my thing, because there's just a whole lot of adorableness out there on the web that I just don't necessarily go in for. But this is just, there's something about this artwork, those beautiful little rounded shapes of the bunnies, that it was just irresistible. Oh, look at this bunny, he's munching a leaf. They are just, they're different rabbit breeds. I believe all of them are different rabbit breeds. But not being a rabbit fancier myself, I cannot say for sure. But there's a lot of rabbits in this deck. I mean, a lot of rabbits in this deck. And I could see using this playing card deck for things. But I can't think of what. I've been trying to think of. Does somebody know a playing card game that has something like hopping or rabbits in the name? I have mixed these cards front to back, and that's not good. Yeah, I think I've got it sorted now. But if you can think of a playing card game that the name of the game or the actions that you take with the cards in some way, any way, evokes cute, adorable little bunnies, or maybe a spring theme playing card game, I would love to know it, because I keep looking at this deck of cards and I keep thinking, wow, I feel like that there should be a certain game for which I use the bunny deck. It's like this game calls for the bunny deck. Yeah. And at some point when I bought those other playing cards, some of them I got from, there's a couple of decks in there that I got from Collectible Playing Card, which is a company. And when I sent them, there were random cards in the package that I got. And these are basically just sample cards from different decks that they have, that they sell. And I had to do a bit of looking. It's like, I don't know, Popeye and dogs, maybe, I'm not sure. But the thing that really caught my eye was this card, because it's got that kind of classic sort of look, like a regular playing card deck, only with more detail. But at the same time, it's different and better and more beautiful and more detailed. It looks like something that came out of an actual real made board game or something. So it sort of looks super traditional, but at the same time new and fresh. And I don't know, I just kept looking at this one card. And so then down the internet rabbit hole I went, searching for the deck. And I did find it. There are still few places that carry this. I'm not sure if all of these cards are still available. I think the fortune telling deck, which is Bicycle, is one of their kind of perennial decks that they keep in print. I think the Calamity Ware deck may still be in print. The others I'm less sure of. But I did track this deck down, and I found it from Collectible Playing Cards, and it is the Veni Vidi Vici deck. I came, I saw, I conquered. Those are the jokers, and that's the website, and that's the back of the cards. Oh, I should just put that up on the screen. It's like I'm showing you a picture of a picture. It's like, oh, God, that's so bad. Anyhow, then there is the, here's some of the face cards, because I just did pictures, because for all of these cards, I didn't want to just thumb through all of the decks and get things, so I did some layouts. But you can see just how classic this looks, and the aces having swords on their emblems, and some of the face cards are carrying staffs, some weapons and staffs, I think maybe in some of them. But yeah, it's just, I don't know, it looked at the same time very classic, and yet at the same time classic but elevated, and in a specific way. And I found that just really, really beautiful. The number cards are nicely done, ever so slightly stylized. Not distractingly so or anything, but I feel like this could be a good basic deck, an alternative for some other good basic deck, like a standard playing card sort of artwork. And then, and this is what the deck looks like, so that you can remember Veni Vidi Vici. Veni Vici, is that how it's said? I don't know. I didn't study Latin. Shame on me. But anyhow, it's like I do this in stages. It's like I'll buy a couple of playing cards, and then I won't buy playing cards for a while, and then I'll just stumble onto something, and down the rabbit hole I go again. Oh, rabbits. Down the rabbit hole I go again, and I buy a couple more decks of cards. But there's been like a little break there, and then not too long ago, I saw this Jane Austen themed deck of playing cards at Barnes & Noble and picked it up. This would make a nice gift, because see, this is all gift boxy looking, as opposed to just looking like a deck of cards. And you open it up, and it has a booklet which it identifies who all of the people were in Jane Austen, because every single one of these cards has a unique Jane Austen character. And who they were, and their part in the Jane Austen stories. And in the back, it has card games played in Austen's novels: Casino and Commerce, Whist, Loo, and Speculation. And I will show you some of these cards here. This is what the front of the deck looks like. Well, yeah, the front of the cards in the back. And And here's a layout of some of the cards. You can probably zoom in and pick out some of your characters. Elizabeth Bennet is on the bottom row next to Mr. Darcy. Wickham is the 10 of clubs down there, and it also tells you what book they're from. So if you're looking over here and you're going like, oh goodness, let me see. Oh gosh, I recognize all of these characters, but like if you saw Henry Tilney and you did not remember that he was from Northanger Abbey, it says Northanger Abbey right underneath it. So I thought this was kind of irresistible because of the Jane Austen theme, and the jokers are Jane Austen herself. But because of the Jane Austen theme and because of the depictions of the characters, and most especially because it had a little booklet with the games that are mentioned in Austen's books, which I thought was really interesting, and I would definitely like to give those a try. But then I'm a playing card kind of person. I find playing card games interesting, even though nobody plays them anymore. So it's pretty much just me with my playing cards. And finally, I got this just this year, mind you, and I had been looking for this for a while now. I got a deck of bicycle waterproof playing cards. And you're going like, oh, you've got all this lovely, elegant artwork cards, and now you've got plastic, like minimal, standard artwork plastic. But there is a method to my madness. Here's the deck of cards. One thing about these cards is that they are, the clear part is, it is frosted, not shiny, kind of a matte finish, slightly raised where the design is. It's super flexible, thin and bendy, and you're going like, ooh, I wouldn't like that. Oh, well, look at it this way. You can riffle shuffle these cards till the cows come home, and you're not going to tear them up. I mean, I'm sure that eventually, or someone who was extremely destructive on cards could destroy these. I mean, there are people that bend cards. I mean, when they're playing with cards, they really bend them, and it's possible that you could crack these because it is plastic. But it strikes me as being a really flexible plastic. So you can riffle shuffle these things without messing up the edges. And another thing about the waterproof cards, you're thinking, how often are you going to be playing cards in the bath? Or, I'm not sure. These may not be hot tub safe because, I don't know, I feel like might be a little melty. But in the swimming pool or the bath or something like that, how often is that going to come up? I don't know, maybe more often for some people than for others, but we don't have a pool, so, so I'm not going to be testing that out anytime soon. But these cards are going to be very easy to keep clean. They're plastic. I mean, this is the deck of cards that you're going to be carrying around. And by the way, the case is plastic too, that you can carry around in your purse or your bag, and it can just get knocked around and knocked around and knocked around. You can drop books upon it and all kinds of other stuff. And the box isn't going to start to look worn after a while. You can play with the cards for a long time, and they're not going to start to look worn until, well, who even knows when these cards would start to look worn. But this deck could last a very long time. So while those decks are beautiful, this is in some ways the ultimate practical deck, because you could hand these cards to kids to play on the playground in the dirt. Take them home, drop them into a bowl of soapy water, and you're good to go. Of course, yes, you have to dry them off, but the fact of the matter is, these cards get wet or dirty. These cards get wet or dirty, and the cards are pretty much useless. They're utterly useless if they're wet. Nobody's going to want to play with nasty cards if they're dirty. These the collectible cards, they're just They're going to hold up for a certain period of time, and I will play them with them like until they start to look worn, and then I'll just enjoy the artwork on them. And that's a good thing about collectible playing cards, is that you get stuff if you really like the artwork. When the deck becomes too worn to be used without people knowing what the cards are, then you can just enjoy the artwork. But this is the deck of cards that you take that you can play on a sticky restaurant table. You know, this is the deck of cards that you can play at the beach. And though you will have to knock the sand out of the case afterwards, and I'm not sure how well these would hold up to blowing winds off the coast, though, now that I think about that with the whole beachy thing. There's usually a breeze that comes in off of bodies of water. But nevertheless, these cards have a certain utilitarian value, a certain versatility that the nice art cards don't have, because you can't destroy them very easily. And if they get dirty or nasty, then or sticky from restaurant tables, then you can just wash them. And they shuffle so surprisingly well. That was one of the things that shocked me, as I was expecting the plastic to be stiffer and more annoying, but they shuffle really well. The plastic bends very, very easily. And they actually feel better to shuffle than I was expecting. But like any plastic, they are extremely slippy. And if your card handling isn't good, as mine sometimes is not, they could go just everywhere. 52 card pickup. But I wanted to mention that because if you want like a deck of cards that is going to be darn nearly indestructible because you're giving them to small children, or because you're taking them with you when you're traveling and they're going to be knocking around in your bag and you're figuring that the box that they're in is going to disintegrate by the time you get home, yeah, this is what you need. If you like playing solitaire on sticky restaurant tables, this is what you need. Or playing, like meeting friends somewhere, playing something. But yeah, I can see that there is a certain utilitarian value in a card in a deck of cards that has standard artwork and it's made of plastic. So while this seems like it doesn't go with these cards, I'm really liking this deck a lot because it is a deck that I may use more than some of these others. I'm not too precious about these. I take them out, I look at them, I shuffle them, but at the same time, I don't play playing card games all that often, and I no longer carry a deck of cards around in my purse all the time or my backpack. And so I'm thinking this may be the deck of cards that I throw into my knapsack that I carry with me, or that I'm carrying with me these days anyway. Sometimes I have a purse, sometimes I have a backpack. But because Chaz said he would love to see my playing card collection, this is the playing card collection. And it's a whimsical sort of thing, and sometimes a deck of cards just catches your eye and you just think, I just want to look at that forever. And so you do. And I appreciate y'all hanging out with me and looking at these decks of playing cards. I hope my pizza cards did not make you too hungry. Wow, that just came shooting out of the box, didn't it? And that's me, perfectly me. You never know what's going to happen on one of these videos. I haven't dropped anything in a while, so we're right on track for my first droppage of the new year. And I will see y'all next time round the table. Thanks for watching. Bye.